Isn't it about time for somebody's favorite radio program?
Holy Testicle Tuesday
was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
Who the fuck are you?
Me, I'm nobody.
This had nitrous oxide and testosterone pumping through every shot they took in this movie. It's how you have to make those movies. You can't go girly mode and be like, oh, wouldn't it be amazing if they did this? Get off the set, you prancing fritter. Get off the set. No, we need testosterone. We need manly men doing manly things, cutting people in half and screaming, "This is Sparta."
You heard that hashtag prancing fritter. So.
Oh, snap.
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, from the capital city of the United States of America, Washington, D.C., ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
You're gonna need a bigger potion.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Hope everybody's doing all right out there. Things are going well. Yeah, it's going to be a crazy Tuesday for us. Talk Hard Tuesday is here, ready to hang out with you wonderful folks that are out there. Yes, Loki's not here. He's got some stuff that's come up, and Squeak is going to be taking Kid Mouse out to college, so they got tied up. A little leaner of the Talk Out crew here, but IRONCASTER's here to hold down the thing. How's going on, my brother? Nope, no audio yet. All right, we'll try that again. Nope. Nope.
Oh, I think I see.
All right. Well, oh, there he goes. He hit the. Yeah, we're just testing you people out there in chat. Everything was fine all along. No. How you doing, brother? What's going on?
And then there were two. No, we're doing
Oh,
pretty
well,
good.
there was barely a show. I barely have internet. My internet has been I had to restart my computer at 5:16 my time, so 15 minutes ago. So, yeah, what's going
on? Just trying to survive a little bit of this Midwest heat wave, and also the smoke. Dear God, the smoke. Thanks, Canada.
Yep. Canada's decided to, I guess, retaliate against some tariffs with, sets forests on fire. I don't know what's happening up there, but that's good. Was this the first time you've seen this film?
Yeah, no. So not Life. Nobody is a movie that has been on my radar. I've been on a couple of, the Discord group messages where, people would have movie nights. It was something I had started, but after, life happens, you get pulled away. It's one of these movies I kept meaning to get to and checking out because I've heard a little bit about it. And this was one I kind of knew what to expect going in. And I got to say, to kind of, cut us off at the pass, I was pleasantly surprised by this.
I couldn't agree more. I kind of remember seeing the trailer. Don't really think I thought much about it. Was like, oh, really? We're going to have Saul play the action guy? All right, fine. But I remember seeing this in the theater and thinking to myself, wow, this is really a fantastic film. And we were still kind of in the COVID time frame. People didn't go to the theater much. It was just not a good time for this movie to hit theaters. I remember having a take that, I don't know, kind of mixed responses to, because I said it basically has that fallible hero story element that I love, and that's that the Raiders of the Lost Ark and Die Hard tap into, where like he's beating people up, but he's also getting thrown out, through windows. He's getting stabbed, and he's overcoming every trial that's thrown his way, and it's so much more believable than some of these other movies where, no offense to John Wick, but I mean, he does get shot, he does get hurt at times, but it's ridiculous in proportion to what he's able to accomplish. Nobody feels so much more grounded and real, and that was one of the biggest things that struck me. And I watched this movie. I've watched it every year since it came out. Probably watch it usually twice a year. I don't know exactly how to explain when, why. So yeah, put it on the radar screen because there's a sequel coming out. Who knew?
It's a movie. In watching it, it doesn't feel like you can kind of tell that they were made of a time, of an era. It doesn't feel like that.
Gotcha. It is. It really is done well. Let me pull that back up. I got to figure out how to get IRONCASTER in here proper because it didn't really have him loaded right. And there he is. Okay, here we go. Should be good now. Okay, there we go. Ta-da! It also does a good job. Many films don't do this well, and that is they give us a little tease and they do a whole movie, and then we come right back to the scene. So this is our little tease here. But before we do that, say hello to this wonderful chat. Polar Bear's holding the door open for everyone. He's saying hello to the humans and the other critters. Hello to you, you wonderful Polar Bear. Hope you're doing well. Hope things are going okay for you, my friend. Let's see here. Let me do the 5 giveaways. We did that. Got that out of the way. Went to Connie, James over at Sequential Treasures, Darth Arlena, Charlie for Delta, really cool name by there, and Pop Culture Mechanic. Great to see all of them, and great to see Claude. Claude's here early, hanging out with us. It's great to see you, Claude. Hope you're doing well. Manly men in doing crazy things, man. Yeah, I love it. DJ Ronnie G is here. Great to see Ronnie. Hopefully you're doing well, Ronnie. And the Padawannabe, man, great to see you, man. Hopefully you're doing all right. Followed Bob Odenkirk to his stand-up in the 90s. Yeah, it's hard to believe that he started stand-up. It's crazy. He's come so far, and he's more proof that his man can do anything. He is really a very underrated performer. He did come up through the comedic ranks and doing stand-up. And I got to be honest, I don't love Better Call Saul as much as most people do, but it's because I loved his character so much in Breaking Bad, and the show was about deconstructing it, and I just wanted more of that version of Saul. But it's still great stuff. Great stuff.
He's not an actor that I've gone and experienced much myself. I never watched Breaking Bad. I haven't seen Better Call Saul. A lot of his other work has kind of slipped past me, but I've seen him here or there, so I recognize his face, but I've never looked at him and said, "Oh yeah, that's clearly Bob Odenkirk." Yeah, it's that guy from that movie. He's kind of fallen into that range for me.
Yeah, see, if you go through Breaking Bad, so I have a video about Breaking Bad. Just live up to the hype or not. I can say you won't forget him after watching Breaking Bad, and then once you go to Better Call Saul, and you have sort of like this very elaborate sort of character story that's centered around him. His performances are just amazing. He's really, really remarkable. And then, like you say, he has a ton of performances and roles that are sort of kind of like mixed in other stuff. And it's like, he's not as much center stage as you would kind of expect from someone who had such a big hit show like that for such a long run. But in a lot of ways, does he need to? He's also doing Broadway work. He's done some voice work for animation and stuff. So he doesn't really have to do as much. So I've always kind of had a lot of mad respect for him. Padawannabe is also clarifying here the stand-up Mr. Show with David Cross, who's a writer on SNL, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Nobody. He's got something for everyone. Yeah. And let's see here. John Wick for suburbanites. Yeah, kind of. Jacob Sear says, great movie. Agreed. And Left Eye Ego, looking good. And wish I could join in, but lurking in the background. Hey man, you gotta do you. Yeah, Ego messaged me about how much he loved this movie. He's in our little chat, so very good. But I love this. I love the fact that he just sort of like, he's battered, he's beaten, he's being investigated and questioned by the FBI. He pulls a cat out of his jacket, gives it a tin can of food, smoking a cigarette, and they're looking at him and they're like, who are you? And he's like, I'm nobody. And then you end up with the backstory. And it's just regular, mild-mannered guy going to the office and leading a very boring, mundane life. Ironcastor, what was your impression of how well that was edited and cut? Because it's giving you these quick shots to set it up, and then they kind of keep playing it through repetition of he's living out the same problem pretty much day after day after day, even the garbage can pickup day. So obviously that's going to be every few days. So it's not like it's every single day, because it's like, let's say it's Tuesday that he misses the next pickup and it's like 4 or 5 days later. He only has one can, so he obviously got to pick up at some point. So you feel like it's just weeks, if not months, are going by in that edited sequence.
I was watching, after I had started to notice the pattern of it, I was trying to like watch the trash more closely. Like, is this thing just getting more and more full? Are we gonna see like him having to like get a second can to take out? Like, what's the deal with the trash can? Like, are we gonna get some resolution here? But it seems to me that this is kind of a recurring trend we've been getting with Hollywood as of late, where they seem to want to have these less than ideal masculine main characters to headline and everything, which I don't hate, but it's kind of an undeniable trend to pick up on.
And I just want to say for folks, if you have any major hesitations with me, or if I drop off, I had internet issues before we started, and it's raining now like crazy. So if I drop out or whatever, Ironcastor will just monologue on about how wonderful this movie is on my behalf. There you go. Yeah, but what I think about this movie, though, is... let me go back to this. So there's kind of a problem with like the James Bond element, right? Or the Arnold Schwarzenegger and True Lies thing, is they're not really what spies are like. They're not really like how these operators navigate the world. And in reality, this regular looking guy who can blend in, he's kind of hiding a lot of his skills. He doesn't really project, like you said, this masculine persona. And then it comes to a head very early in the movie where his family's being robbed. They have people that break in. He has the upper hand with a golf club in his golf club and ready to swing. And then he just stops. And the son, you can tell by the way his wife's demeanor, everyone is very disappointed. They kind of look down on him, whatever. And then there's a little bit of a reveal of why he didn't do that. You're like, another hint of this guy's got a lot more backstory than we don't know yet.
I'm trying to think for a moment, because you're right. He has a great Bob Odenkirk has a great face for that, to be able to be this guy that blends in, because he's someone who can easily blend into the crowd. You're going to overlook him. He's not this conventionally overly attractive sort of guy, which makes him sort of an ideal guy for playing this type of character.
Yeah, he just kind of looks more like this troubled individual. Like there's this, so this is the scene and kind of like the reveal where he's explaining. So there's a voice in the radio. I'm curious if you were able to figure out who the voice in the radio really is. So it's one of those things where if you go to wikis and trivias and whatever, you can figure out the character is played by RZA. RZA shows up at the end of the movie. Did you figure out who RZA is supposed to be relative to Hutch?
I didn't really have any context of any other films related to this, but I figured, oh, it's just supposed to be his like adopted brother.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever say adopted, but they definitely he's supposed to be his brother. And I just felt like it was supposed to be another operative. I think when I first saw this movie, I didn't read anything about it. I just took it in, and I thought, oh, he's just another operative like himself who's out there in the wild, sort of in hiding like him, like he's just sort of lives as a married man with kids, and there's this other operative out there that he communicates through this little ham radio type system that
But
just lives
the
in
thing is,
covert
though,
life.
But the thing is, though, when you see the photo of him as a kid with his father, there's Raza.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah,
when you
that's a
see
good
him
point.
show up at the end of the film, you can say, okay, so they were brothers, and
That's true.
they were able to play that out without having to sort of build it up. And it's kind of a cool. He's kind of a cool character. He's getting 3-in-1 headshots down the road. He's
Oh man,
showing
yeah,
up to be the cool character, the cool brother.
yeah, he's wicked talented. This is the headshot. It's funny because there's a quick moment. Well, if you've never seen this movie, I'm sorry, we can't not do this movie without spoilers. Go see this movie. And there is a credit scene. If you've never seen the credit scene, because a lot of people don't realize there even is one for a movie like this, I made sure I made a note of it in our talk card chat, so everybody make sure you catch the credit scene. It's a scene with RZA and Christopher Lloyd's character Pops talking, and they're talking about this headshot. And it's kind of funny because RZA's his dad doesn't believe him. Like, yeah, sure you did. You got 3-in-1. It's kind of like, it's funny because if you feel like he's this master class of shooting and handling rifle, all this stuff, and then at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's a little bit of luck too, maybe. Yeah. Padawan very accurately says, "Go ahead."
I was like, it's all building up to this big, great, epic fight scene that you come to expect. It's like in a lot of other films. What another one that sort of comes to mind, especially with this movie, was Home Alone. How we have the whole build up for Kevin to set everything up at the end, or when I think Rambo did it in the last when Stallone did it in the last Rambo movie. You get a lot of these little build-ups to be able to justify one big, epic, amazing action sequence.
Yeah,
and then you also stop to wonder, like, oh, what if he doesn't? They don't tell him about like the plans. Like, you're kind of looking at like, is Christopher Lloyd going to step on the step and like get blasted? Did they work this out?
Well, the thing is we get a little bit of that because it actually is RZA's character that hits one of the little traps. So they've obviously done this stuff and coordinated in the past because he knew what trap Hutch had set and blew the guy through the window. So that was actually a quick little shot. Anyway, so let me go to Padawan. Great point. It seemed that they were showing he's kind of drowning in his normal life. People still point out his mistakes. Honestly, this is a complete do you know who the F I am moment? A little bit. But more than that, I think it's also, like I said, it's like the normal operator is not built like Arnold Schwarzenegger, not like a dude everyone's going to be afraid of. Like, no one's going to want to fight Arnold Schwarzenegger. Also, no one's like, these aren't people that like James Bond who go at the baccarat tables and poker. Like, I'm Bond, James Bond, bring me their dream. They're not drawing attention to themselves. They blend in. You don't know who they are. And he's systematically leading this completely dull life, and we have it explained later on. Was kind of one of the other gags we'll get to. Penny, great to see you, Penny, out there. Jacob's got a show later, so he'll be headed out to watch some X-Files for that show. So make sure you keep that in mind if that's your thing. Jacob's always doing great stuff, great panels, great stuff. And Cannoli, the man himself. There you go, man. 15 months. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Good movie. Odenkirk's great. Lloyd is hilarious. Yeah, Lloyd is very subdued. He's fantastic. Thanks for your friendship and support, my friend. Great points, for sure. Doc Brown alone's huge surprise. Yeah, it was so much. And I think that is, they do such a good job of bringing stuff together. Before we get to Doc Brown, let's finish up some. They did such a good job of pulling it. Almost like an Avengers moment where they're all like next shoulder to shoulder, and there's just a stream of bullets flying. I mean, obviously, this has got ties to the people that do John Wick. it's the same kind of producer and creator, Derek Kolstad. David Leitch also was a producer on this. So, yeah, it's got all of that same feel that you have with the John Wick franchise and all that stuff that you would enjoy if you've never seen this. So, yeah,
Well,
this is
it's
going to be an
great.
impossible situation.
Oh my gosh, this scene. Yeah. Yeah, it's like he's walking right into the tiger's den. He's gonna have a talk with him man to man. It's like there's no way you're gonna be able to get out of this when you start dealing with the Russian mob, which by the way, as an aside, I was a little confused here at first initially because my speculation, my thought was, oh, this is supposed to be like the Russian mob in Russia. How did he suddenly get here? I didn't realize that it was like all within this same like little city or this big city.
Oh, all right. Yeah, no, yeah, this is the Russia's club. Yeah, so I think that's why they show him going up on stage and singing and whatever. It's like he's the Russian mobster who has no problem sort of being out in front. But you're right, they speak Russian a lot in that opening sequence. It may not be as clear as where they are. Yeah, there's some moments like that. This is, I mean, it's perfect. It's not a perfect movie. It has some moments. There's a little. I feel like there's. I don't want to say deleted scenes, so I feel like there's trimming of some, maybe a little line here, a little line there. But yeah, this was a great way of saying, how do you get him into the lion's den and say, I've come to mess with you, and by the way, I ruined everything for you. So let's go back to the premise a little bit. Premise is actually very simple because you have this robbery that takes place at the house. They get away with next to nothing. It's like some cash and his watch, things like that. But he thinks that they got his little daughter's bracelet thing, her little kitty bracelet thing.
They came and messed with the wrong guy.
In reality, it's sort of like the breaking point. His life's miserable. He's just so pressed down by the mediocrity of this mundane rut of a life he leads. The fact that everyone looks at him like he's this complete wuss and can't stand up for himself. Well, when he's talking to Rizza's character, his brother Harry, on the radio, he says, I showed you a picture that the revolver is empty. Well, he also notices a tattoo, and he starts going around trying to find the person that has the tattoo. Now, before we find out what Hutch is capable of, we have what is possibly one of the greatest sort of teases that doesn't ever get resolved, and that is his tattoo on his hand. Do you want to talk about your reaction to the tattoo on your hand kind of scene? Because that is one of my favorite scenes probably the last few years.
Oh, yeah, so Bob Odenkirk's character, he's been going to every tattoo parlor in this seedy town, so we get this whole montage of him going from parlor to parlor, trying to go around, trying to get details. No luck here, no luck there, until we finally get to this little seedy one that's like a little downstairs, like down a flight of stairs type place where the guy who runs the cash register also has a set of brass knuckles ready. And as they start giving him some hassle as he just walks in. He's just a really unsuspecting guy walking in, start asking questions. You don't want to, and it's like with that sort of clientele, you come to expect in one of these kind of rough neighborhood type of places. You don't like people coming in and asking questions. It doesn't matter what sort of questions they are.
And he pulls out the big wad of cash, right? And they're like, because obviously someone his size, you're flashing a lot of cheese, man. Like, we're going to take your cheese, basically, right? He's like, well, there's 3 kinds of people. There's people that, like you said, flash the cheese. And then there's and he goes through this list of sort of like this very veiled threat that reveals why he's motivated. It's like, or it's someone like me who wants you to try to take, as you said, the cheese from me. Like, you realize that he's triggered. And during this process, there's this little shot of this tattoo on his left hand. So this is fantastic. It's a 7 of spades and it's a 5 of diamonds. It's the worst 2 cards that you can get in Texas Hold'em, and it's supposed to be a tattoo for the people who are given the most ridiculous and impossible scenarios, and they always overcome. And later we find out more of the story. It's his nickname is the Auditor, and he was the person that, these 3-letter agencies would send in. But the way they play this up, Ironcaster, I wish I'd been able to see your face, because nothing is ever said. Nothing is ever explained. No one ever mentions the tattoo. You just see this old guy who sees it, says thank you for his service, and then goes through a series of locking himself behind locked doors. And it's one of my favorite ways of saying a lot without even a line of dialogue. Brilliant.
I think thanks to YouTube Shorts, it was one of the first clips I had seen of the movie. So I was kind of a little intrigued at first. I'm like, all right, this looks kind of interesting. And now that you're kind of explaining that all out, I'm starting to think about it. And I'm like, yeah, that actually makes sense. This idea that with that sort of tattoo, it's clear. It seems clear now to indicate you don't want to see that tattoo. You don't want to see that coming. And he got the hell out of there because he knew this is no good. This is a very specific message that's being sent with this tattoo, whether or not he intended to show it or not.
Right. So I've never told the story before, but we did some prison ministry and worked with some groups of people who've gotten out of prison, and been up close to somebody who had one of the infamous MS-13 tattoos. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen an MS-13 tattoo on TV or not. They kind of stand out, and when you see one, you know what that really means and who that really is. You're like, hey, it's a pretty big dude, or it's kind of a mess. I'm like, You get a little of the hair on the back of your neck standing up kind of feeling. You get that little bit of that, oh. And then for something like this to have such a hidden meaning and to know what that meaning is, it's just great. Such a great moment. And hopefully, folks, if you see that scene, maybe we made it, enlightened it for you a little bit. But
it regardless, it does come off as this clear message that, although I didn't know what that tattoo meant, I knew the character saw it and recognized it. And he himself realizes this is something significant, because people oftentimes get tattoos that have a deep meaning. I mean, there's so many things to be said about all the different prison tattoos out there. The military's got to be the very exact same way. So it's a whole culture in and of itself.
I don't want to be making about him being sort of a poor man's Jason. I don't think so. And I also think that he made a very good point during all of his training to make sure that he didn't get buff. He wanted to really come across as just being the regular guy. So I don't think he's interested in doing a ton of action movies. I also don't feel that this was like heavy, hardcore martial arts type approach. It was a different sort of strategic. It feels more like a spy-driven movie than Jason Statham action kind of thing. So, you don't mess with the man's family. That's just something you don't do. It's pretty great. It was the backstory of like, you went too far, man. So again, he's first chasing down this bracelet, and it ends up taking him down a rabbit hole where he ends up finding them. They're just a bunch of dopey people who need money. There's a kid in the house, so he's there ready to pull the trigger because he's losing it, trying to hold it together, and get this sort of like violent lion, out of him. And in doing so, he ends up on a bus, and there's this famous bus sequence. Now, I'm assuming if you saw any of the trailers or any of the footage, you probably saw stuff from the bus scene, right?
Yeah, it's the most vulnerable his character winds up being. It really feels like, which is something considering there's also elements of like in his own home where this is happening, but this is public transportation. You're far away from everything. This is a big moment of vulnerability for anyone, and to have this be that moment where he finally snaps and lets the lion out.
Yeah, I cannot believe they don't really have good photos to share with you of the bus sequence is phenomenal. He's just sitting on the bus, and you're seeing these drunk Russians hit the side of the bus and crash, and then they basically just climb on board, and most people just run off the bus. And there's one young lady who stays on the bus, and then there's Hutch, and Hutch just sitting there. And I have to be honest, it feels like me sitting in the back of a bus. Like I was like, why am I getting off the bus? Screw you people, I'm going home. He's been out all night. chasing down this tattoo nonsense, not getting anywhere. And then basically they just start harassing this young lady and everyone involved. And it is completely an insane fight scene. And this is where just the movie, I fell in love with the movie. Because he's getting pummeled. He's got stabbed. They throw him out the glass window. He's completely battered and shot up. He's a complete mess. He destroys them. But he ultimately saves the one guy's life because he makes a straw, the typical cliche, use a straw in the trach to save somebody, which I guess it can work if you really knew what you were doing. You had a few minutes and the EMTs got there fast enough. But reality is this is what puts him in the crosshairs with the Russians, because this is like his brother or something, just the idiot brother. And what I really like about all that, well, first let me give you a chance to speak about what you like or didn't like about some of that kind of sequence.
I thought it was a fantastic use of the environment of the bus to have this big, great, fighting sequence. It's relatively enclosed location, so he's able to kind of funnel them in so they can't just, three ways overwhelm him all at once. So he's not going to be able to get jumped quite as easy. He stands a chance of being able to hold his own.
Yeah, it's really good. Here's him with the director. They're discussing the scene. And close quarters, very well choreographed, very interesting on how they pull everything together. There's also a couple moments of levity where he's got the one guy sort of like strangled in the, stop the bus cord. And there's just little moments like that are really, really good. And then to hammer home sort of like the everyday guy feel about everything, he goes home and the wife's waited up. Like, where you been going? What's going on with you? Because at this point, she had to be pretty used to what the normal guy routine was, and he's been acting strange, right? He's been acting, he's acting like this guy that he becomes. So she's kind of onto him. And then it becomes kind of a little romantic moment because she's nursing him. He's just basically talking about their marriage and how they've drifted so far apart, whatever. And then, obviously, off camera, they make love, and the next morning he's got a lot of pep in his step. He makes the trash run, his food for the kids. Everyone's all, hey, we're going to go on vacation. Can we afford that? How can we afford not to go? Blah, blah. Pep in his step. And then, of course, when he hears from his brother and he has to warn Pops because, oh crap, these actually were like high-end Russian mobsters that I got into a fight with and destroyed last night. So now they're going to come to the house, which is where they break the rules, right? They came to his house. They didn't go get him. They came to the house. And then that fight sequence is what Ironcaster you were talking to. But again, it doesn't go super smoothly. He's gets thrown around quite a bit, but he takes them all out. It's fantastic. And then it doesn't quite end as though you think it ends, because he sticks his family in like a panic room and he fights it all out. And then they still get him eventually.
They did a solid job with it of setting up the house as basically being his fortress to fight from. Yep. Yeah, yes, of course, he did put in a little bit of preventive measures, but it wasn't like the, super spy sort of house. Like, no, he's probably got like, a gun hidden inside the air vent or something, some kind of basic stuff that nobody in their right mind would ever think to look.
Yeah, I'd love to see when you watch this movie a second time. I think you're going to find it's even less. He doesn't even use any of sort of like his artillery. He doesn't really use his stash. So if you see it, one little clever move here. He knows the layout. He's using the layout of the house against the robbers. So that's why he's able to grab the knife. It's like the struggle to get the advantage. It's his skills, not some sort of booby traps and stuff like that. So it's not Home Alone yet. So fantastic sequence, but they get the upper hand. They're still not. The story still isn't linear. They get him with the taser, and he ends up in a trunk. So now he's got to figure out how to get himself out. By the way, his family's still stuck in a panic room. I get the impression they don't even know how to get out of the panic room, but that may not be totally valid. But he's got to figure out how to wreck the car, and that's where you get like the callback to the Black Russian gag, because we have a quick shot earlier about a Black Russian, and I've never seen a Black Russian before, and he uses it again to tell us more of his backstory before going home to see the family. So Padawanabe says they didn't seem to know about the panic room. The wife knows things, but I don't think she knows his real life. Yeah, so I think she's picked up pieces that he had a former life, probably military, but not like he was an auditor. Sort of like not very similar to The Accountant. Like you feel like if you picked up pieces and you thought, oh, this guy's like he's an amazing rifleman or a marksman, but you wouldn't like, oh no, he's like an expert assassin or he's like an expert. You just don't get that similar feel for sure. Yeah, Padawanabe, totally get you, feel it. Again, this is a movie that, again, for someone who's been married for 26 years, been in a relationship for a long time, you're going to go through seasons that are hard. You're going through seasons that are rough. You're going to go through problems. And when it starts to get to you and your self-esteem's low, whatever, it's like, it doesn't make you a very attractive person. It doesn't make you like your part. So you go through, and then you have these incredible moment that really kind of exemplifies that. I thought it was brilliant. It's sort of an underrated element in the movie for me, I think. Goes home to the family, rushes the family out, and then he's got to warn Pops. And that's where we get the Christopher Lloyd stuff. Again, about how it's escalated. And we get a little more look at Christopher Lloyd of like, whoa. And I will admit, this predates his Star Wars appearance. And it was kind of a wake-up call to how few, because if you haven't seen Christopher Lloyd in years, it's had to be a bit of a shock in the theater, because that definitely was for a lot of folks. I'd seen Christopher Lloyd at a MegaCon a couple of years before this, because I had my little I have a mini Back to the Future poster, like a 11 by scene signed by him. So that's when I saw him. And my daughter went and we got it signed by Biff and stuff like that. You just feel like he's an operative too, but you don't know anything. Ironcaster, were you happy they didn't try to explain much? I'm happy they didn't explain anything. I don't want to know.
No, I knew enough with his character that he's probably got an old gun from when he was from his time in the service, and which all works out fine because we get the payoff of the Russian mob going after Christopher Lloyd. And at first you're thinking, oh, everything we've seen so far is kind of doing a good job of setting him up to be just a super frail old man, which works so well given the state he's in. Like he looks so thin. In a way, I'm looking at him and I'm reminded of my own grandfather. He's 90. He's a little older than Christopher Lloyd, so I know exactly kind of what to deal with going to deal with, in this case, he's going to go deal with his dad, kind of make sure he eats his food, and just get to see him blasting people with shotguns. Oh, that was
and also, and just grinning from ear to ear the whole time. It was so good, so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it never was unbelievable. Like the closest it gets is he's actually able to hit them with the shotgun. He can sort of like get the upper hand on them, but didn't feel too ridiculous. And we skipped another character who has just this quick key moment. The Russians reach out to a hacker. She's basically their data scientist, and they need her information on Hutch. This is before they knew where he was. So she has this quick little hacking blackmail scheme with the Pentagon, how the Pentagon guy has to go downstairs in this basement and get this basically massive redacted file full of dead bodies and everything like that. She sees it, throws it on the floor. I'm out. You don't even have to pay me. See you later. She doesn't want her name. She doesn't want to be associated with them. It sets up that this is a incredibly dangerous guy in a great mysterious way without having these long exposition dumps that I can't stand. And Ironcaster, you've been with me so long, you know how whenever there has to be movies that you watch that's not a part of Talk Hard or something like you're like, oh my gosh, could you imagine Loki's reaction to this? Could you imagine Pop's reaction? This is a movie that doesn't do that. This is a movie that's like, oh, it makes me happy. It just makes me smile. Yes.
The nice thing is her character is in the movie just long enough to do the computer stuff, do what she needs to, and then they get her character out. They don't try to write this character back into the third act to have some big drawn out fight scene with the wife or something. Like, no, we're not doing any of that. It's just simple. She does the tech stuff. She does her job. She gets out just to show off how great of a character Hutch is.
And then Hutch, literally after he gets his family sort of out of harm's way, he makes it clear what his intentions are. He gathers the four. One of them's still alive. Every time I watch it, I always kind of debate with myself about how alive the other 3 or 4 are. But he explains that he's going to now burn his house down, and it will now be designed to burn double what the temperature it takes to incinerate your human bones. There'll be nothing left of you. And the movie uses a soundtrack so perfectly. This is, again, another art that's lost because everyone has decided they should follow Marvel's model of using classic rock songs, and now we've drifted into all the way through to ruining Beastie Boys and stuff songs for me.
Or how many times have you seen a movie? How many times have you seen a movie where they got to go and take some classic rock? We got to go do the drawn out orchestra version of this other song, and this is going into a different route with it. And I apologize for kind of stepping on your toes there, but I did like it because it got me looking back over at my vinyl collection, thinking, what have I not listened to in a while? What should I sit down and appreciate a little more often?
100%. I think that this song uses music in a more practical way. I complain about this tremendously with Marvel. They're one of the worst ones. You can't even have a trailer nowadays. So, by the way, this is a YouTube tip for those of you at home. Old trailers, you can use pieces of because they have movie guy voice in them. Remember the old movie guy voices trailers? Like, this summer, action, adventure, that kind of thing? That guy, right? They don't do that anymore. They just play clips from a movie with a few voice things, and they just play some rock song that gets you copyright claimed. It's a pain in the butt.
It makes me almost not want to bother even trying to do it at all, because I know there's going to be some sort of...
It's a huge turnoff for me.
Yeah.
Huge turnoff for me. James Gunn does it with songs that you probably haven't heard because he has sort of more of a niche, old school... this is why the Guardians soundtrack is so phenomenal. Actually, the first 2 Guardians movies soundtracks are phenomenal. But that's fine. But that card has been played out ad nauseum. And then, because when he did Superman, because I don't think you saw Superman, the best scene in Superman is Mr. Terrific's fight scene, which is set to music that doesn't work. It takes me out of the scene. I was so ticked off over the sequence, and it's nobody. What they did here was they incorporated the music a little better, so that it feels more attuned to the character that we're following. And then we just have musical montage sequences that don't last for 3 minutes or anything like that. It's we're just moving this in a more old school, traditional way. So phenomenal. Loved it. If you've not listened to some of those songs, go look them up. There's great stuff. The use of, Louis Armstrong and Andy Williams, old school Steve Lawrence, which is a name you just don't even know. Little Stephen Eady, I believe, right? So old school Steve. I have no idea Stephen Eady. Cannoli's listening. Cannoli, Stephen Eady, Padawannabe, Primer, Stevie, Ronnie. Yeah, there's a Stephen Eady song, man. Well, Steve Lawrence is in this song. Get the song in there. Yeah, I gotta be me. I gotta be me. Yes, that's Stephen Eady. I love that.
It's part of a bigger trend with the way we've seen music getting used in a lot of movies as of late. That feels like it's been kind of... James Gunn has famously done it, but we've also seen the sort of way they use the soundtracks with movies like Joker. It's been often overused, but it was done really well with this film because it's not the same type of music I would tend to think of with an action movie.
Mm-hmm. Yep, agree. Okay, I didn't know about this movie, Padawan. I'm looking it up. So what's the deal with this? So he makes a comment about a movie called Polar. Here we go. So I was looking it up while IRONCASTER was talking. So it's an action thriller. Padawan, if you're still listening, would you recommend this movie? Because I love Mads Mikkelsen. Cast looks good. Concept looks fine. It's under just at 2 hours, so that's good. 2019, perfect time frame for things to get overlooked. Is this super good? What do you guys think? I don't know. I didn't know anything about this. I had not heard anything about it. So You guys,
A retiring assassin suddenly finds himself on the receiving end of a hit, contracted by none other than his own employer, seeking to cash in on his pension of aging employees.
Yeah. So, yeah, is it good or not? And where do I find it? It will be my next step. So we'll see. You guys let me know.
Netflix.
All right. And I will say, like, once we get into the transition, because we have the two, we talked about basically him going to the Russian restaurant club first, but it's him basically going. It's actually it's kind of like a plot device. I'm not quite sure how I felt about. Again, the weaker elements. He could just figure out how to deal with the Russian mob guy. He doesn't have to do what he does. But the Russian mob guy has been put in charge of the Russian mob's retirement fund. They have a name for it. It doesn't matter. It's sort of like a MacGuffin that's sort of out there. And you know that if anything happens to this money, this guy's dead anyway. So even if he doesn't succeed by burning down all the money, he just basically just burns the money. This guy's dead. So he's either going to kill him himself or the Russians are going to kill him. And then you end up with like this crazy action sequence of how it's going to come to a head with great little funny moments, by the way. Yeah, absurd moments, lots of gunplay, lots of booby traps, lots of fun stuff. Yeah, tell you what. I was having such a good time. How are you holding up during all this movie, man? How to be loving it?
Oh, I really enjoyed it. This was one of those movies I like I said, it was always kind of on the list. I was like, yeah, I'll get to it at some point, but you kind of gave me the right kick in the butt to sit down and watch it, and now I'm very happy that I finally did. And not only that, with us watching it this week, it makes me want to get ready to go to the theater and see the sequel. Like, I'm now primed to watch it.
I couldn't agree more. Nobody 2. I saw literally like 8 seconds of the trailer or so. I just watched just a little bit of how they were setting it up, and then I just shut it off. And if I'm in an auditorium and they start to play it, I leave. I just left. So we were watching trailers for something, and I just left. She's like, "Are you all right?" I said, "Yeah," because I already gone to the bathroom. She said, "I didn't have to go to the bathroom again that fast." And I'm like, "No, I don't want to watch any trailers." Because there's only like 4 or 5 movies that I'm even remotely interested in actually letting them have my money to see. And actually, by the way, on that list, if you haven't seen F1 in theater, if you get a chance to see F1 in theater, go see F1 in theater. It's one of the few movies that you should support because it's actually that fun. Very much in vein of Top Gun Maverick, but imagine race cars. It does have some issues. My review kind of addresses my one little beef with the film, but it's probably one of, if not the best, entertaining movie of this year. And Nobody 2, while it probably will let me down, very much as Accountant 2 let me down, I'm willing to give them some money because I feel like they're not the machinery trying to make movies. I feel like it's going to be all right. So we'll see. By the way, DJ Ronnie G has a great idea. This would be so much fun to do with Loki too, by the way. Add the movie guy voice into trailers. Yeah, because those trailers are terrible sometimes. And we could just figure out how to do them over again with the movie guy. And whatever happened to the comedian? Have you ever seen there's this comedian who could perfectly do the movie guy's voice? I don't understand why we lost the movie guy. So much better times. Padawanami says the movie's decent. The Merc group that goes after him are super over the top. All right. Yeah, I'll kind of keep it in the back of my mind. We'll see. Netflix is not something I give money to, but I can easily access their movies and find them elsewhere, so that's possible. I'm making note of Polar via the Padawanami. So yeah. And then we kind of just, again, not going to spoil all of the kill elements. I'll let Ironcaster kind of will get back to stuff he wants to talk about, but just know that we do end up getting full circle. We will go back to the beginning of the group, and he ends up in the FBI room. It's like, who are you? He's got a cat. It's a call back to the cat line from the daughter. This is everything you need. Everything to have a good time.
See, I was almost expecting that scene to take place after the battle at the house. Mm-hmm. That was what my initial thought was. I'm like, okay, so after all the action, that like surely they show up there, right? Of course, I think I had to like watch this over the course of like 2 days, and so maybe it was just because like I stopped it, slept, went to work, did all that, and then came back. I'm like, yeah, this is where the scene takes place now, right? No, it's It's later. Don't worry about it. There hasn't been nearly enough violence yet to justify the fire truck.
Yeah, the ATF is going to be involved. The FBI is going to be involved, stuff like that. And then it's like, the best part of the scene is in the opening part of the movie. He has such swagger that doesn't match his character, so you don't quite know like what's going on. So when you get to the end of the movie and the swagger is there, you know why. And the phone's going to ring, as it does, and it's like you can't keep the guy with those tattoos in custody. We can't allow the guy with that kind of redacted file to be in the open, in the wild. We've got to bring him in. He has to go back and work for us now. So that's kind of the general gist of the movie is, what happens with a person like that. And can they lead a normal life for very long? Because there's a great scene that he explains how he was supposed to execute someone and then he held back. And I was kind of jealous of this guy. He had a normal life. He seemed happy. And I kind of wondered what he had. And can you believe that? And so it's interesting. I will say that it was a movie that is extremely interesting. I wish it kind of crossed over with the John Wick stuff. I haven't watched the ballerina movie. I just figured it was just going to be girl boss type stuff. But I feel like this is the same kind of vein as the other John Wick stuff, and I would love to see more subtle, minimal crossover stuff that would make it be in the same universe, so to speak.
This did make me want to sit down and go rewatch John Wick, because I don't think I've watched it in like 5 years since, I don't know, probably the build up to the sequel to it. No, it's been much longer than. Oh, so let's say a decade. It's been a few years since I watched it. But this was a movie I was trying to explain to someone the other day, and I was like, it's... As I was kind of struggling to find words, I'm like, it's John Wick if he had a family. Like...
Yeah, it's sort of the elevator pitch would be more like John Wick wanted out of the game and lead a normal life. He's midlife, so like forget about what Keanu Reeves actually is. Just pretend that he actually looks like a midlife, regular looking dude, and wants to have a family with kids. And it's like he's out of the game, but they're going to pull him back in. So a lot of the parallels to the John Wicks, a lot of stuff that kind of So, and yeah, this is a movie, and I love Padawannabe, and others of you seen this. Kind of what your scores would be. Give me your, just put out how many points. So like I'm a 5-star guy, but I can relate to 10, and like just let us know what your score is in a movie like this, because again, it's a massively overlooked film because it dropped in the middle in 2021 where this pandemic nonsense was happening, and it made no money, but it didn't need to make a bunch of money because it didn't spend a bunch of money. So it's really also a great example of, hey, by the way, you guys don't need to drop. They spent $16 million on the original film. Now, I am certain that the sequel is going to have a much bigger budget. I have no idea what it'll be, but I anticipate it will. They spent 16 and made like 50 or 60. I expect a 50 or 60 million dollar budget this go around. So it's also coming out in August, which is not a good thing because they're always going to be going back to school soon. So people aren't going to the theater. Maybe this is a good time. I should go to the theater rant.
When you stop to consider what else, what else is out, this works as a decent bit of counter programming because the only other stuff is failing. You have the freaking Fantastic Four, which is flopping hard in its face. You've got Superman, which, while underperforming, is doing decently enough, but it's winding down. Jurassic World is winding down as well, so this is kind of the perfect time for a movie like this to get dropped.
Yeah, I hope so too. And I'm very saddened that no one went to go see Naked Gun. I'm ready to take the whole family that can be allowed to go see it to take it so they can make some money because it's a tolerable enough film as well. I like to hope so. But with that said, I was shocked. We went to a Saturday matinee. My daughter paid for us to see a movie. $11 a ticket plus the fees, depending on how you order your tickets. They were $5 to $8 just a couple years ago. I don't understand what happened. 11 for like a Saturday matinee is way too much for families to go.
I was actually just kind of looking up with I think Grok today, asking it, hey, what's the national average and what's the average in Michigan here. Apparently, the national average is $16 a ticket.
Yeah, because places like New York and California, their average ticket prices are so insane, and it made me wonder how it's not always easy to get those figures on modern movies. It takes a little while for it to get public, but you can look back at like actual ticket sales, and you can see how bad ticket sales are right now. Like, it's insane. But imagine if you have 4 or 5 kids. Say you're going to go with your friend, you're going to bring a kid, and someone's going to $100 is you're going to invest $100 in any of these movies. Like, how many good movies are there? Like, we're at a point now where, like, on one hand, I'm telling you there's good movies, let alone movies you should see in theaters. Like, it's absurd, and this is a system that's so unsustainable. I don't know what happens next, but I'm saddened by it, but I'm also part of the problem, because I have a hard time convincing the missus that we need to drop this kind of money to go see a movie that I'm already mid on, that kind of thing.
Well, then I did a little bit of further digging. I'm like, all right, cool. So what about like a lot of the Midwest? What about and because I'm playing for the home team. I was like, what about Michigan? What's the average here? And here the average is about $9 and 20 cents or so for a ticket, which I mean still is lower. It's still more than I would care to pay for half these movies. But thankfully, it's a lot of the independent theaters are where the cheaper prices are at. And hey, if you can go on like a Tuesday or like those those cheap ticket days, or you go like early on Sunday, you can get fairly affordable prices for tickets. But still, it's all about like there has to be movies there that justify it, and nobody one is a movie that did deserve it. And I gotta say, for myself, I think Nobody 2 is gonna be another movie I need to go to the theater to see.
Yeah, no, I'm down with that. If anything else, I know this is a weird take for people coming from me. I feel like I owe them more money for this movie. I only saw it once. I feel like I owe them for this. So even if I don't like the sequel and it didn't really deserve my theater watch, I feel like I still owe them some money from how good Nobody is. That's how much I enjoy this movie. And Padawannabe, that is a great clarification. Thank you for that. This is a military man's afterlife. We have to admit John Wick is a merc underworld life, blood debts, and all that. It's a complete culture in the John Wick universe. But I think there could be some overlap here. So you get the ticket vending machines and just get senior citizen tickets. Well, I'm at the point now where I actually can ask for senior citizens. I keep forgetting because I got to 55. Some places have 55 discounts. So, let's see. Our theater, $10 for night, 7 matinee, 2 beers, large popcorn, 18. Not too bad. Yeah, no, I was shocked, man. The Saturday matinee, and I'm talking like it was my daughter and them paid, so I can't complain that I paid this, but it was 11 for a matinee on a Saturday. Then you added in, I think we got a popcorn and a soda, and I think it was at least $20. It wasn't cheap. It added up quick, and I was like, ugh, this was painful. It was painful. So 4 tickets and those snacks, it was like $70. And it was like, that seems like a lot. And that's where I get tricky. I'm like asking people to spend that kind of money on Fantastic Four that you mentioned, or even Superman, or even Jurassic World crap. I can't do it. So it's really tricky. So anyway, all of you guys in chat, let's get some scores on this movie. Tell me what you guys think. Ironcaster, let's rank this movie a little bit. Let's talk about this.
I enjoyed the movie enough to want to see a sequel. I think it didn't make me think it's like the greatest movie ever by any means, but I did really enjoy it. I think it's a decent enough 7 out of 10. I want to go see a sequel. It's intrigued me enough. It's excited me enough to want to see more.
Yeah, I'm really tricky about the score on this one because I have the hypocritical sort of like rewatchability factor. So for me, it probably should be a 4 out of 5. But I'm kind of being a liar and a hypocrite because I watch it like so much. This is like regular rotation, Die Hard type stuff, guys. I know that's completely a crazy analogy, but it goes by super fast. There's no real weird major context. It doesn't have a lot of depth, though. And there are some structure issues and plot conveniences and stuff. So I'm hesitant to go to 4.5 out of a 9, so more like a. So if I had to do a 10-point scale, it's easier because it's like an 8.5. It's easier. It's kind of in between, but
Like, I mean,
super
here I
super
am.
strong.
I mean, here I am with that saying it's like a 3.5-star movie. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think it's worth watching.
Yeah.
It isn't the biggest, most expensive movie. Like you said, it's a $16 million movie. This is a movie that well deserves a sequel, and I wish that this movie would ultimately be successful enough with its sequel to help steer Hollywood in the right direction, because superhero movies sure ain't it.
Yeah, man, I didn't even do a video on Fantastic Four. I probably still should do something from a comic book standpoint in particular, just kind of going through some of the issues with it. And the harder part is I'm so meh on things. Like, it's just so mid for me. It wasn't the worst thing in the world that made me want to rant and rave. But then again, I can't say they did, because I did do a video on Ironheart, because it was just like, I just laughed. It was so bad, but this comic book was so bad. But this was such a solid movie. I think I'd love to see how you're feeling might change with the rewatch, because I think you're going to have a better appreciation of how well the writing is, because even if it's not complicated or deep or anything like that, you're going to see so many setups and payoffs and callbacks, and it is a very, very tight script. It's done really, really well. Very, very good stuff. So this would have been in my library. It gets a higher score because it really hit the heart and the funny bone. I'd buy it. Matter anymore. I'd watch the sequel for sure. Yeah, for sure. I don't think I remember if I put the description, but go over to Amazon, get yourself a copy. They're not too expensive.
Well, you can also just watch it on Amazon Prime right now, so, if you happen to have the membership. So,
Right.
Go out and buy it. This one should be in your collection. But in the meantime, you can just go ahead and watch it, and if you already have the membership.
Yeah, it was good. It's very solid. Like I said, I forget to think about it when I talk a lot about how there's not a lot of great stuff in the last 5 years. And I kind of forget this one, even though I watch it so regularly. But I think it's because it doesn't have sort of like this best of all time feel to it. It didn't break any glass ceilings or anything like that. Like, Die Hard was so much a game changer for its time, right? Top Gun Maverick was this film that became like a cultural phenomenon for a few weeks and kind of helped save cinemas and the post-COVID world and things like that. So there's moments and things that mattered. And I feel like nobody doesn't even get as much respect as I should give it for someone who loves this movie. So I'm glad that we were able to talk about it and highlight it. Any other moments or something we should talk about with this movie? Because I could keep going forever. This is one I really do enjoy.
It's a little tough, a little tricky. I think we basically hit all the key things about this movie that really make it work. This sort of, like you mentioned, the accountant, and this does feel like it sort of deserves to sort of sit on a similar shelf to that one, because I mean there's both these. I mean they're basically playing the same type of character. The difference is one got out and one is still doing their job.
Correct. Right. Yeah. Two completely different approaches, two different results, and yet two entertaining films for sure. Zax is here. Great to see you, Zax. Good flick. Not surprises. Yeah, I know. Really, really fun. So, watched it about 4 times, Padawan says. That's super good. Awesome dishwashing film. Yeah, it's like one of these films, too. Once you've seen it, you can just kind of have it on while you're doing something else and pick up different scenes and pieces of things. I would love to see Ironcaster, watching it from start to finish and kind of like, picking up all the little nuances. And I think that I still love the booby traps. The Home Alone booby traps on scale are really kind of fun because it's just a montage of things that you don't. Some of these things go by so rapidly. There's a couple of shots where you're like, what's he doing with his shotgun shells? What is he doing? And there's just moments that are happening so fast when it manifests. I don't think you can totally appreciate. I know I didn't appreciate it on my first watch. It was when I watched it at home. I was like, oh man, that's really good. Oh, that's really good too. Yeah, that's really good. So,
I was getting a little excited when I was watching that bit. I'm like, oh, we're getting a Home Alone moment here. Come on, we're gonna get this. We gotta get the whole build up. We gotta have the the booby trap montage. And for as easy as that is, all the build up there, we have a great car chase, to get us to that. we then also get on top of that the team up. We get to see him, his brother and Christopher Lloyd, the dad, jumping in. So it's like not only do we get to have the great, booby trapped business to stop the bad guys, but then we also get to get all the gunplay with the dad and the two sons. It's like this is kind of bringing the whole family together.
And Christopher Lloyd's character has this huge grin on his face. Like he has been waiting for this moment forever. Like he's not only getting to do it and back in action, he's doing it with his two boys. Oh, it's just tremendous.
I got out. I went out. I did swimming. I did laps, Marty.
Yeah, he's so good. And it's so funny because it's sort of like unbelievable, but it's also not believable. Like he's such a well-trained operative. So when he grabs the guy's gun, he has his finger blocking the hammer. So it seems absurd that he could pull it off, but they do it in such a subtle way. They don't make it, I don't know, it doesn't feel like a 90s movie where it tries to go too far. They don't get greedy with it. They just do enough to make you know that it's his skills that makes it work. And then
there was some good bits of camera play in there.
Yeah.
One of the sequences I really enjoyed was when Hutch is trying to go back and retell the story about when he got robbed, when they broke in and robbed him at first, where he's telling the story about how it all happened. He's going back, kind of misremembering the gun. He's like, no, I think it was this model. We see the camera cut to now it's the correct gun he's talking about.
Yeah, that was very clever. And then and again, they don't get greedy. The exposition is cut short when he realizes the person that he was kind of monologuing towards is actually dead. So it's like, I don't need to continue monologuing the person I was monologuing to. And it happens at least twice in the movie in sort of like really good ways for the audience to get the exposition they need to have some more backstory to learn about Hutch.
Yep.
I will say too that the wife and kind of what she knows and how it kind of comes to a head at the end of the movie when they have their little scene where they're buying this new house and they make a comment about, because he's like awkwardly like, kind of does it have it? She's like, she just jumps in, well, does it have a basement? And you're like, oh man, she totally is like piece it, because he promises her that he'll explain more. But by that point, I mean, he's burned the house down. He's burned the factory down where he worked after buying the factory. I mean, there's just so many different things that have transpired that, and similar to John Wick and other movies, they just pull out gold bullion, and there's a whole lot of stuff going on here. Like they've lived sort of like, I don't say impoverished life, but they're obviously living well within their means. He's kept it on the down low that he has, gold bars in the basement. It was great. Super solid movie for me.
It wasn't done in such a way that felt like we had to copy, John Wick with a pickaxe going to dig up the all the gold bullion. So we have this big, great, epic moment of build-up. It's like, no, we just sort of do that. We sort of go there, and it's like, yeah, of course, his character would have all these gold bars on hand just in case something like this came up.
Yeah, so overall, I'm going to stand pretty pat. If I did my 10-point score, I'm going to have to go to 8.5 because I watched it that much. I'd be a liar and a hypocrite. I totally get Ironcaster leaning more into like around a 7 or so. It doesn't break any grounds. There are a couple of things I think that are a little lean that would make it like it is sort of unclear who Harry is. Like if you don't catch a couple of little pieces, it is unclear a couple little things about where he is and when he is and how things are moving around. But overall, very, very strong, very solid film. I think that it is over the top enough, but never ludicrous. So that's another reason why I liked it. I like the fact that it feels like the normal guy spy stuff, like I said in the very beginning, compared to the flamboyant spy stuff, which I don't know why it is that to me Bond works and so many of the imitators don't. And I don't even know how to put my finger on it except by like case by case basis. And this is that more grounded, realistic way that I would approach it. Something that's more gritty and honest. Yeah. I love it. So I want my son to see this. I never asked my son if he's watched this one. I have to put it on his playlist. We share the digital library, and I constantly am throwing on there like, RRR. He hadn't even heard of RRR before, let alone actually seen it. Things like that. He had not ever watched that. Godzilla -1. He didn't see it in the theater. He was. It was a difficult time in the military. That time he didn't have time to watch it in the theater. So movies like that, I have to put this one in to make sure he's seen it. So yeah, and I'm with you. It feels good to know there's a movie that we can go like, I don't know that I'm totally down for the sequel, but I'm down for the sequel, if that makes sense. Like, I get it. I'm setting myself up to probably be let down, but I'm also willing to be like, you know what? It's okay. I owe you a little bit from last time. I'm all in. Let's just do it. Let's go for it. So that's where I'm at. So
it was a fine enough movie with considering the budget it had. This movie's turned out a lot better than it had any right being. Mm-hmm. And so maybe with this being enough of a success as it was, if they get a little bit of a bigger budget here, let's see what they can really do once they get to really get a little bit of cash to go with. And maybe not 16 million. Let's go say 25 or 40 million dollars. I think that's a good little step up to keep to get another decent success out of this. By the time opening weekend comes and goes, it's already profitable.
I think he is probably going to get a lot more money than that. I got a feeling. So it's a different director. I looked him up. I don't remember his name. It's a difficult name for me to say. His first name is like Timo. But what struck me was he's an Indonesian guy who was born in Germany but went to school in Australia. That's what I remember. Yeah, that's a weird formula. It's a guy who hasn't directed anything I don't think I've seen, or if I have seen, it wasn't anything that made me go, oh yeah, he'd be perfect for nobody. So I feel like it's just someone that they're shaping. You know what I mean? Like the John Wick, the Derek Kolstad team are just shaping to make it the way they want it made. So it's like a Home Alone. It could possibly happen a second time, right? Maybe. Yeah. So I mean, the premise, obviously, the sequel is not really a surprise, right? The trailer's like he's going to wander away on vacation and stumble upon chaos, and he can't not deal with it. It will probably involve his family at least a little bit. And that's fine. They're going to mess with the wrong guy again, is what I think. It's like, I just don't know how to take him out of being an operative because he's gone back to the life at the end of the movie. You feel like he's being pulled back into the life. So I'm not sure how you pull him out enough to go on vacation or put that stuff on the shelf to make it work as well as it did in this movie. So that's probably, and also so many key elements of having the brother and the dad and, playing off of things work and don't work, because that's the tricky part with a lot of these movies.
Yeah, that is the little bit of the challenge, though. We've seen what this guy is, and now that we've seen sort of that door opened, what more could we get out of this character? Could we keep kind of playing in this sandbox, and we get to piece in just a little bit of details? It's a chance to let out a couple breadcrumbs. We don't need a prequel to tell us everything, but hey, it's a perfect way just to throw a couple lines out to explain some dialogue. Like, oh, of course I speak Cantonese. I had to do this mission over there.
Right. Yeah, you wouldn't have to explain why he speaks Cantonese. He could just do those kinds of things. Yeah, that's all fair. See, I think so. Again, I mentioned briefly that I enjoyed The Naked Gun, the new one with Liam Neeson. But the problem with it is that it doesn't have all the other characters enough to play off of. So for instance, they have the new version of George Kennedy's character, and he's just not in it very much after the first half of the movie. And then Pam Anderson is great, but other characters, there's really not a Nordberg. There's not, in the villains, more like better than Robert Goulier in Naked Gun 2, but definitely not Ricardo Montalban from Naked Gun. And it's sort of just, the story's just not as interesting. I worry that Nobody 2 will suffer from, we don't have certain characters to play off of. We don't have a way to, so that's all. An origin story like this, which is so great. It might be interesting to see. I don't know, Ironcaster. What if the son were to ask him about the tattoos? They're there. Maybe he's got his little margarita. He's trying to bond with his son. His son's, I don't know, his son's having a problem with some persuasion. And, he's trying to be fatherly, but doesn't really know how to be fatherly like that because his father is also like him, like an operative. That's the only life he knows. And then something comes about the tattoos, and he'd have a fun. I don't know. That'd be interesting. I guarantee most people don't know about the tattoos.
In a way, I almost see it as an opportunity to sort of kind of further pass that torch to sort of set up this. Not that they need to go that route, long term or anything, but just sort of plant this idea that it might be a family business after all.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Maybe the sequel could set up that the son, he got bullied or something, so now he has to learn a little bit, and his father is actually like a super talented spy. Maybe the wife knew or found out more. The son knows something because obviously he saw the aftermath of the attack on the house. So he's training, maybe? That'd be interesting.
Or maybe I'm thinking more of we get another big action sequence and then someone's about to get the jump on Hutch, and then the son kind of saves him at the end. And we see the possibility that this could be a family business after all. That, maybe this kid's got a future in, the government.
Okay, so the Mansell knew. I think I could write this. I think I can write the script that he would be a natural marksman expert. Like we can set that up. That's an easier sell than like all the other plot conveniences, Hollywood cliches. It would be, I'm never taking you. Will you take me shooting? And the son just has a great knack for it for some reason. So then later in the movie, he could save his. I don't want him to save Hutch. I don't want him to save our main character, but he could save his mom. He could save his mom. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, like it's something you would just maybe have like one line of dialogue to kind of tease early in the film, and then in the last act we see that little bit payoff to show that maybe at the start of the movie the son didn't have any a lot of interest in it, but at the end of the movie he has to save the mom, and we get this idea of okay, maybe.
That's good stuff. So, all right, that's our take on it. It's definitely a fun one. Yeah, we're drifting into some more fun time. I know the folks, the family will be back, folks. It's just a 1 week thing. LOKI will be back. SQUEEKA will be back. We're gonna have some more fun. It's gonna be some fun movies coming up. So make sure you. I got them all scheduled up through all of August and the first week of September. So we definitely have Shot in the Dark, Pink Panther 2, Goldfinger. We're gonna work our way to Smokey and the Bandit. Oh my gosh, I set that up. I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't watched it this year. That one is another one of those Mrs. Pops will watch. We watch every year. We sort of have a nostalgia love of it too. And it was one of those movies I probably watched way young. Like I've told these stories how my aunt, I was sent along with my aunt to be the kid in the car so she wouldn't do certain things. But we would end up at the drive-ins and whatever. So I saw certain movies like Smokey and the Bandit when it came out, like really young. So yeah, 6, 7 years old, whenever. I don't remember what month it was out. So it was definitely the same year as Star Wars. So we're doing that. And Ironcaster will be, let me tell you what, I have not listened to Mac Monday yet. I will listen to Mac Monday tomorrow. So did you do your opening last night?
I did. In fact, I got a thank you, by the way, for my little high C drink sticker.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. So I just saw it. I was like, I got to put that aside for Ironcaster. And then I was like, oh yeah, it is birthday Friday, so that's good. Yeah. Make sure you check out Mac Mondays. You'll be on with T-shirt and some other stuff going on this week.
Yeah, guys. So over my channel last night, our stream went a little crazy as we opened that up, but then we sort of went down this rabbit hole of, oh dear God, discovering like what what furries might consider a waifu.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I have no words.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, and by the way, Ego messaged me about he couldn't be here for this, but he would love to talk about Nobody 2. So, Ego, I will keep you in mind for that. And if I do a review, in a timely enough fashion, we can definitely connect over that, because I definitely want to kind of put a pin in that. I got to catch up on these new movies. I've got like 5 or 6 new movies I've done reviews on. I've had all sorts of issues with other stuff going on, but yeah, Mech Monday. That's a crazy tease for a Mech Monday. Mech Mondays are usually pretty solid, kind of know what to expect. That's a weird rabbit hole that I did not expect you to throw out there. So we'll have to see how that goes. So
it goes all over the place. You never know what you're going to expect.
All right. When are you going to teach me how to use a gun? You got to be better using a knife first. Oh, that's good. That's a good line. That's a good line. It's not bad. Not bad. Something like that. So, yeah, interesting. Got to cut out a little early, folks. I got an early drive tomorrow. Got a long travel for my day job tomorrow, so I'm going to go and eat with the family and get the farm tours done, and actually go to bed super early. It was good to hang out and know that Ironcaster saw this one. I knew it was pretty sure it was a first time watch, so it's good to know. And I'm anxious because I feel like this is one that grew on me. And when they grow on me the way it did, I feel like it's going to grow on Ironcaster too. It's like, I've seen it again. Oh, it's a little better this time. It's a little better. It's like, it just feels like, it's like an old, comfortable sweater that I'm going to put on and enjoy. So, and there you go. That's the best way to send him out, with some love. Some shotcast emojis. That's right. They never get old. Thank you, Zach. Thank you for that. And you guys are wonderful out there, by the way. I don't say it enough, but you mean the world to me, man. You make all this worth doing, man. I look forward to my Tuesdays. I get so excited. If I could, Ironcast, I'd probably just schedule like the whole next 20 shows that we discussed. Like I get so excited whenever I schedule them. Like, I can't wait to talk about that movie. I can't wait to hear what Squeak is going to say when she sees this. Oh my gosh, literally that's what my brain feels like. So I wish that the world would align so that I could just do talk hard style type conversations every day, because I get so excited. My inner nerd.
Of course, then you get those certain days where it's like, we're doing another, Caster movie. Well, what charts is he subjecting us to?
No, we've had a good run. Street Fighter 2 is probably the weakest of the recent movies, and that wasn't totally on you. So, but folks, listen, you guys be blessed. Make sure you check out Mech Monday, some other stuff going on with this guy. Make sure you check out the playlists in the description, and we'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.
Bob Ross, you'll never see me tripping. Got the vision, I don't even need assistance. Bob Ross, all I do is chill.